Shadegg, a guy that always had the good taste to never call himself a young gun. John, thank you so much for being with us.
But he is adorable.
John, he is adorable. I know you've said that repeatedly.
You, Mika.
Sweet as pie.
So stop it. So anyway, John, we're showing this Gallup poll, this generic Gallup poll. Republicans have an unprecedented lead over Democrats in the generic by 10 points, and yet our Republican Party, John, also has a 26% approval rating. What in the world's going on here? I mean, isn't this more, John, let me state it this way. This is more about Democrats losing than Republicans winning, isn't it?
Absolutely. There's no question about that. I had lunch with a group of guys yesterday, and one of them said, you know, my wife turned to me and said, what do Republicans stand for? And he stumbled on the answer. I think this is about Barack Obama.
A Republican conservative saying this. Go ahead.
There you go. Barack Obama fumbling badly, promising change, not delivering change, and quite frankly being lost on what to do about the economy. It's about Nancy Pelosi being an ideologue who doesn't care what the American people think. By God, she's going to pass what she thinks is good for them. But Republicans need to get out there and articulate what it is they believe in, where they would take the country, how, for example, they would stimulate the economy.
John, when we got elected in 1994, we were very specific. We said, elect us. These are the 10 things we're going to do. I can't tell you one thing. I can't tell you one thing that John Boehner Congress would do. And I guess that's intentional, right?
Well, let me defend them for just a minute. Their plan was, given that this president and this Congress, but particularly this Congress and Nancy Pelosi, have chosen not to listen, the command to Republican members of Congress is spend August listening. And I strongly hope, Joe, that when we get back in September, we will in fact articulate a very clear agenda of where we would go with the country. If we don't, then we'll have to rely solely on the Democrats screwing up to carry us out through November.
I got to say, Bob Herbert was talking before about the health care bill, and Bob said all along from the very beginning, focus on jobs, jobs, jobs. Barnacle said jobs, jobs, jobs. We had Ben Jealous from the NAACP. I said, what's the #1 issue? He said jobs, jobs, jobs. You just wonder, can you tell us, because we really don't know, where did the idea that they were going to bury a year and a half on health care when unemployment was near 10%, where did that originate? Because we were just trying to figure that out around this table. It makes no political sense when people are hurting.
Well, it all buries itself inside the head of Barack Obama, inside the head of the people that advise him, and inside of the head of Nancy Pelosi. They had an agenda which they had not articulated 2 years ago in the election, and by God, they were going to carry out that agenda no matter what. Now, it's like, we don't care what's going on in the economy. We're just going to do our agenda, and our agenda is health care reform. You want to stimulate this economy? Suspend implementation of the health care bill for 3 years. Promise no new regulations burdening the economy or American business for 3 years. Promise no tax increases for 3 years. Watch this economy take off, because look at all the money that's sitting on the sidelines, Joe. There's lots of capital in this country that's not going to work because the leaders of this country, the business people in the country who could create those jobs are waiting for the next blow from Washington.
And Bob, you obviously would disagree with John's approach economically, but you do agree, and you've said it time and time again, that fighting for this health care bill was a real opportunity lost for Democrats.
Yeah, I think there was an opportunity lost, but Congressman, it's Bob Herbert, and I would just ask you if you could do one or two things directed strictly at creating jobs. What would those one or two things be?
Well, I just listed several of them. Right now, the economy is
specifically
kind of
about
waiting.
jobs, because you can't force businesses to hire. Is there anything that would really target employment? We have so many people out of work.
I love that you don't understand that you are targeting jobs when you promise not to implement any new regulations burdening the business economy.
I don't understand that.
You're targeting jobs.
You're right about that.
Hey, don't interrupt me.
Hey, don't talk to me like that on the air, Congressman. We're not on the House floor.
We've got a delay here. So, John, answer, and we're all going to be polite. John, and then we'll have
Look,
Bob
I think we could do... All right. If you don't like those and you don't want to cut corporate tax rates, we could do either a payroll tax cut or an income tax cut, or a payroll tax cut or an income tax holiday, where we simply said we're not going to collect those taxes for a period of time. There was a point in time when we had damage to the real estate market decades ago where the country just suspended mortgage payments for a period of time in order to let people catch up. There are things that we could do to take the burden of government off of this economy and have it take off.
Right.
Spending more money is not doing that.
John Shadegg, thank you very much. Always good talking to you. You know what's interesting, Bob, is ideologically I agree with John. I'm on his side of the ledger. You